In 2009, I filmed the clearest Bigfoot footage ever captured, and it destroyed my entire life. Not because people believed it, but because they didn't. For 15 years, I let the world call me a fraud while I carried a secret that kept me up every night. The 47 seconds everyone saw wasn't the full video. What do you do when the part you hid is the only thing that could prove you were telling the truth, but showing it might get something killed? The camera was steady in my hands that morning. That's what I remember most. October 2009, Northern California, just past dawn. The air smelled like wet pine and cold dirt. I was crouched behind a fallen log on an old logging road, waiting for elk. I'd been hired to film wildlife for a nature documentary. Boring work, but it paid the bills. The light was perfect, gold and soft, cutting through the trees in long beams. My viewfinder showed nothing but empty roads and forest. Then I heard something heavy moving through the brush. Not the light step of deer. Something big. My finger moved to the record button out of habit. Always be recording, that's what they teach you. It stepped out from between two massive redwoods about 40 yards away. At first, my brain tried to make it into a bear. Bears stand up sometimes, but this thing didn't drop down. It stayed upright, walking on two legs like a person, except it was too tall, 7 feet, maybe 8, covered in dark brown hair that caught the morning light. The shoulders were wider than any man I'd ever seen. It was dragging a deer, a full-grown buck, limp and fresh. The creature held it by the back legs with one hand like it weighed nothing. The deer's antlers scraped against the dirt, making this awful scraping sound. I could hear the creature breathing, deep and steady. Not tired, just moving. My hands started shaking. The camera wobbled. I bit down on my tongue to keep quiet. It walked across the road, maybe 20 feet in front of me. I could see everything. The muscles moving under the hair, the way its feet pressed into the mud, leaving deep prints, the shape of its face when it turned slightly, checking behind itself. Not flat like an ape, not quite human either, something in between. 47 seconds. That's how long it stayed in frame. Then it disappeared back into the trees on the other side. I sat there for another 10 minutes, not moving, barely breathing. When I finally stood up, my legs almost gave out. I knew what I had. Crystal clear footage. Broad daylight, steady camera work. This was the kind of thing people spent their whole lives searching for. I drove straight home, hands tight on the wheel, and uploaded the file to my computer. I must have watched it 100 times that night. Every time I hoped I'd see something different. A zipper, a costume seam, anything that would make sense. I called my wife, told her I'd filmed something incredible. She heard the shake in my voice and came home early from work. We watched it together on the big monitor in my office. When it finished, she looked at me with this expression I'd never seen before. Not excitement, fear. "Don't show anyone," she said. "They'll think you faked it." I didn't listen. I posted it online 3 days later. Within 6 hours, it had 2 million views. Within 12 hours, the comments started. Fake. Obviously fake. Too clear to be real. That's just a guy in a suit. Nice try, loser. The experts came next. A costume designer in Los Angeles said he could spot the fabric texture. A primatologist said the arm proportions were wrong. A special effects artist made a video breaking down all the ways I faked it. He had charts and diagrams. People believed him. The news picked it up, but not the way I'd hoped. I became the punchline. Late night shows made jokes. Someone made a cartoon version where the Bigfoot was dancing. My footage became a meme. People photoshopped it into birthday parties and weddings. The documentary company fired me, said I'd embarrassed them. Other clients stopped calling. My wife tried to be supportive at first, but the phone calls wouldn't stop. Reporters, bloggers, people wanting interviews. Someone found our address and showed up at the house at 2 in the morning, demanding to know how I made the costume. She filed for divorce 8 months later. I didn't fight it. By then, I'd stopped fighting anything. The footage ended up on every fake Bigfoot countdown video on the internet. Number 3 on most lists. Too good to be real, they always said. I stopped defending myself after the first year. What was the point? I had the truth and nobody wanted it. Now I'm 56. I live alone in a small apartment on the edge of town. 2 rooms, thin walls, a window that looks out at a parking lot. I work night security at a warehouse. I watch cameras all shift, looking at empty hallways and locked doors. Nobody knows who I am anymore. That's fine with me. I haven't talked about the footage in 15 years. Deleted my social media. Changed my phone number twice. Built a quiet life where nobody asks questions. I tell people I used to do wildlife photography and left the field. They nod and change the subject. That suits me just fine. Yesterday, someone knocked on my door at 8 in the evening. I almost didn't answer. Nobody visits me. When I opened it, a woman stood there in a gray jacket holding a folder. She was maybe 40, dark hair pulled back, tired eyes that looked like they'd seen things they couldn't forget. Marcus Webb, she said. It wasn't a question. I'm a private investigator. My name is Chen. I need to ask you about your footage from 2009, the Bigfoot video. I started to close the door. She put her hand against it. Not pushing, just holding. I'm not here to call you a liar, she said. I'm here because 3 hikers went missing that same week. Same forest, same area. She opened the folder and pulled out a map. Her finger pointed to a red circle. This is where you were filming. These X marks are where their phones last pinged. 200 yards apart. Same day, same time. My mouth went dry. She looked up at me, and I saw something in her face that made my stomach drop. She knew. Somehow she knew. I need to ask you about what else was in that video, she said quietly. The part you cut out. I let her inside. My hands were shaking as I closed the door. She sat at my small kitchen table and spread out the papers from her folder. 3 faces looked up at me from missing person flyers. 2 men and a woman, all in their 20s, smiling in their photos like people do when they don't know what's coming. They were experienced hikers, Chen said. They told friends they were doing a 3-day loop trail. When they didn't come back, search and rescue spent 2 weeks looking. Found their car at the trailhead. Found nothing else. She pulled out another paper. This is the cell tower data. Their phones stopped transmitting at 3:15 in the afternoon on October 7th. My throat felt tight. That was the same day. The same time I was filming. Chen looked at me hard. The forest is big, she said, but not that big. You were there, you had a camera running, and I think you saw something you didn't show anyone. She paused. I think that's why you cut the video down to 47 seconds. I sat down across from her. My chest felt heavy. For 15 years, I'd carried this weight alone. Every night, I'd see it in my head. Every morning, I'd wake up wondering if I'd made the right choice. The full video is 3 minutes and 12 seconds long, I said quietly. My voice sounded strange, like it belonged to someone else. After the creature crossed the road with the deer, I kept filming. I thought it was over. I thought I could breathe again. What happened next? Chen asked. She wasn't writing anything down. Just watching me. It came back, I said. 2 minutes later, same spot, same direction, but this time it was carrying something different. I stopped talking. My mouth was too dry. What was it carrying, Marcus? Something wrapped in blue fabric, like a tarp or a tent, slung over its shoulder. It was the right size, the right weight, the way it hung. I knew what it was. My hands started shaking worse. The creature walked slower that time, careful, like it was being gentle with whatever it carried. Chen's face didn't change, but her eyes got harder. Did you see a face? Did you see who it was? No, I said, just the shape, just the blue fabric. But then it stopped, right in the middle of the road. It turned and looked straight at my camera, straight at me. Those eyes. I'll never forget those eyes. Not angry, not hunting, just tired. So tired, like it had seen too much. How long did it look at you? Chen asked. 5 seconds, maybe 6. Then it turned and walked into the trees. I never saw it again. My hands were flat on the table now, pressing down hard to keep them still. I sat there for another hour after that. Didn't move. Couldn't move. When I finally packed up my gear and drove out, I saw the search helicopters. Heard the sirens on the main road. Why didn't you show that part? Chen said. Why cut it out? I laughed, but it came out wrong, bitter. Because nobody believed the 47 seconds of a creature walking with a deer. What would they have done with 3 minutes of it carrying a body? They would have said I staged the whole thing, put someone in a costume, faked a missing person case. I would have gone from joke to criminal, and if I told them it was real, that I really saw it, they'd have sent every hunter and cop and crazy person with a gun into those woods. I looked at her. Either way, I couldn't win. So you've lived with this for 15 years, she said. Every single day, I told her. Every day I wonder if those people were already dead when it carried them. Every day I wonder if I could have helped somehow, if I should have called someone right away instead of driving home and thinking about what to do. By the time I decided, 2 days had passed. What was I supposed to say then? Chen gathered her papers slowly. She pulled out one more thing, a photo. It showed a small camera, black and scratched, sitting on an evidence table. A hiker's GoPro was found 3 weeks ago, she said, in a cave system about 12 miles from where you filmed. A climber spotted it wedged in some rocks near the entrance. The memory card still worked. My heart started pounding. What was on it? She pulled out her phone and turned it toward me. The screen showed a video frozen on the first frame. Dark cave entrance, ferns hanging down, late afternoon light. She pressed play. The footage was shaky. Someone walking through the forest, breathing hard. The timestamp in the corner said 2 weeks ago. The camera pointed at the cave mouth. Then the person behind the camera went very still. The breathing stopped. From inside the cave, something moved. The same creature from my video. I knew it instantly. But older now. The hair was grayer, especially around the face. The shoulders looked thinner, more scars. It stepped out into the light, and I could see how much 15 years had changed it. The creature looked around, careful and slow. Then it knelt down and placed something on a flat rock near the entrance. Berries, a pile of bright red berries. It arranged them carefully, almost gently. Then it stood and walked back into the darkness. The video ended. Chen put her phone down. The hiker who filmed this called the police. They searched the cave, found nothing, no creature, no evidence it was ever there. But they did find something else 12 feet inside. Disturbed soil, like something had been buried and dug up recently. What do you think it means? I asked. I think, Chen said slowly, that whatever happened to those hikers 15 years ago, that creature has been living with it ever since, just like you have. She looked at me, and I think it's still there. We need to go back, I said. The words came out before I could stop them. Chen nodded. That's why I'm here. I need someone who's seen it before, someone who knows what we're looking for. She stood up. We leave tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. Bring warm clothes and good boots. She walked to the door, then stopped. Marcus, the full video. Do you still have it? I nodded slowly. On an old hard drive. Never uploaded it anywhere. Never showed anyone. Bring it, she said. We might need it. Then she was gone and I was alone again with the secret I'd kept for so long. Except now someone else knew. And tomorrow, I'd be going back to the place where everything fell apart. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe. I don't want you missing out on tomorrow's new Bigfoot story. Thanks for watching. We left before dawn. The drive took 3 hours on highways that got smaller and smaller until we were on dirt roads that barely counted as roads at all. Chen drove. I sat in the passenger seat watching the trees get thicker, darker, closing in on both sides. My stomach felt like a rock. The trailhead was empty, just a wooden sign and a small parking area with weeds growing through the gravel. We geared up in silence. Flashlights, water, a first aid kit that felt useless but necessary. Chen had a camera, professional grade. I noticed she also had something else clipped to her belt under her jacket. A gun. We're just looking, I said. My voice came out tight. She nodded. Just looking. But her hand touched the gun anyway, just for a second, like making sure it was real. The hike was hard, uphill most of the way, through thick brush and over fallen logs slick with moss. My legs burned. My lungs ached. I used to do this kind of thing all the time, but 15 years of security work had made me soft. Chen moved ahead of me, steady and sure. She'd done this before. After 2 hours, the trees changed. They got older, taller, the kind that make you feel small. The air smelled different here, wet and old, like stones that had been cold for 1,000 years. We were close. I could feel it. The cave entrance looked exactly like it did in the GoPro footage. dark mouth in a wall of rock, ferns hanging down like a curtain. The flat stone where the creature had left the berries sat empty now. Chen pulled out her flashlight and clicked it on. The beam cut into the darkness. "Stay close," she said. We went in. The temperature dropped immediately. My breath came out in little clouds. The cave floor was uneven, covered in loose rocks that clicked under our boots. Our lights made strange shadows on the walls. I kept one hand on the stone to steady myself. It was cold and damp under my palm. Then Chen stopped. Her light pointed down at the ground. "There," I said quietly. The soil was disturbed, dug up and smoothed over, but not well. You could see where something had been buried. More than one spot. 3 areas, maybe 4, spread out across the cave floor. Each one had stones arranged around it. Not random, carefully placed, almost like markers. I knelt down next to the nearest one. The dirt was loose and dark. My hands wanted to dig, to see what was underneath, but I couldn't make myself do it. Chen took photos. The camera flash made everything look harsh and too bright. "These are graves," she said. Her voice echoed slightly. "Someone buried them." "Not someone," I said, "something." I stood up and shined my light around the cave. The walls were rough and natural, but there were marks, long scratches gouged into the stone. I moved closer. The scratches were deep, 4 parallel lines over and over. Claw marks. Chen came over. Her light joined mine. "These are too big," she said. "Way too big to be from your creature. Look at the spacing." She held her hand up to show the distance between each mark. 8 inches apart, maybe more. "What has claws that big?" I asked. But I already knew the answer made my skin crawl. "Mountain lion, maybe a bear, something that hunted." On the wall next to the scratches, I found something else. Dark stains, old and dried but still visible. Blood, a lot of it. Some of it was low on the wall, like something had been dragged. Some was higher up, like something had fought back. Chen's light swept deeper into the cave. We could see the passage narrowing, going back farther into the mountain. From somewhere in that darkness, we heard a sound, a scrape, then silence. "We should go," I whispered. My heart was hammering now. This is enough. We found what we came for. But Chen was already moving forward toward the sound. Her camera was up, recording. "Wait," I hissed, but she didn't stop. I followed because I couldn't leave her alone. The passage got tighter. I had to turn sideways in some spots. The walls pressed close. My breathing sounded too loud. Then the passage opened up into a larger chamber. Chen's light swept across it. He was there, standing at the far end of the chamber. The same creature from my video, 15 years older. His hair was streaked with gray. His face had new scars. One eye looked cloudy, like he couldn't see out of it anymore. He was thinner than I remembered. The shoulders still broad, but the body underneath looked tired. Used up. We both froze. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The creature's good eye fixed on us. On me. Did he remember? Could he remember one man with a camera from 15 years ago? Then he did something I didn't expect. He stepped to the side. Not running, not attacking, just moving sideways, blocking the passage behind him. His body became a wall between us and whatever was deeper in the cave. He made a sound, low and rumbling, not a growl. Something sadder, like a warning and a plea at the same time. "There's something else back there," Chen whispered. "Something he's protecting." Behind the creature, in the shadows his body didn't quite cover, I saw movement. Small shapes, low to the ground. My light caught a glimpse before he shifted to block my view again. Young ones, 2 of them, maybe 3. Smaller versions of him, watching us with wide eyes. "He's not alone," I said. "He has a family." Chen raised her camera higher. "This is incredible," she breathed. "Marcus, do you understand what this means? This proves everything. Your footage, the disappearances, all of it. We have to document this." "No," I said. The word came out harder than I meant. "We don't." The creature made that sound again. Louder this time. His body tensed, one massive hand pressed against the cave wall. I could see the muscles tighten under the gray-streaked hair. He wasn't going to move. Not while we were here. Not while his family was behind him. Look at the walls, I said to Chen. Look at the scratches. The blood. Those hikers didn't die because of him. They died because something else was hunting in these woods. Something bigger, something worse, and he tried to stop it. That's why he was carrying them. He was trying to bring them somewhere safe. Chen's camera stayed up, but her hand wavered. You don't know that? Yes, I do, I said. Look at him. Really look. He's covered in scars. He's half blind. He's been fighting something for years to protect this place. To protect them. I pointed at the small shapes behind him. If we show this footage, if we bring people here, what do you think happens? Hunters, scientists, people with guns and nets and cages. They'll tear this mountain apart. The creature watched us. His chest rose and fell with slow, deep breaths. Waiting. In his good eye, I saw something I recognized. The same exhaustion I'd carried for 15 years. The weight of trying to protect something when the whole world wants to take it away. Chen lowered her camera slowly. Her hand was shaking. This was my case, she said quietly. This was supposed to be my answer. It is your answer, I said. Just not the one you can share. Sometimes the truth isn't about proof. It's about knowing when to walk away. We stood there for another moment. The creature didn't move. Behind him, one of the small ones made a soft chirping sound. He reached back with one hand, not looking away from us, and touched the young one gently, calming it. We need to go, I said. Now, while he's letting us. Chen nodded. We backed away slowly, keeping our lights low. The creature stayed where he was, a wall of gray hair and scars and stubborn protection. When we reached the narrow passage, I took one last look. He was still there, still watching, still standing between his family and the world that would destroy them. We didn't speak until we were outside again. The daylight felt too bright after the darkness, too loud, too much. Chen sat down on a rock and put her head in her hands. I stood there, breathing hard, looking back at the cave entrance. That was real, Chen said. Her voice was hollow. That was all real. Yeah, I said. It was. We hiked back to the car in silence. The sun was past noon now, filtering through the trees and dusty beams. My legs ached, my head hurt. But mostly I felt this strange kind of calm, like something inside me had finally settled after floating loose for 15 years. Chen drove us to a diner off the highway. We sat in a booth by the window and ordered coffee we didn't drink. She had her camera on the table between us. Her laptop was open next to it. The footage from the cave played on the screen with the sound off. The creature's face filled the frame. Those scars, that cloudy eye, the way he stood so still protecting what was his. This changes everything, Chen said. Her voice was quiet, but there was something bright in it, something hungry. We have proof now, real proof. Not just your video from 15 years ago. We have fresh footage. We have the cave. We have the graves. She looked at me. We need to call the authorities, get a proper team out there, document the site before anything else happens. I watched the footage loop, the creature stepping sideways, blocking the passage, his hand reaching back to touch the young one. And what happens to them, I asked, when the proper team shows up with their equipment and their questions? They'll be protected, Chen said. There are laws, endangered species protocols. They'll set up a preserve or something. Keep hunters out. I laughed. It sounded harsh in the quiet diner. You really believe that? You think the government is going to protect something they can't explain? Something that buried 3 dead hikers and has been hiding in those mountains for who knows how long. They won't build a preserve. They'll build a cage. Chen's jaw tightened. So what then? We just pretend we didn't see it? We let those families never know what happened to their loved ones? Those families have been without answers for 15 years, I said. My voice came out harder than I meant. One more day won't change that. But bringing people to that cave will destroy the only thing that tried to help. He didn't kill them, Chen. Something else did. Something that left claw marks 8 inches apart and blood all over the walls. He tried to save them and couldn't. So he buried them, gave them the only dignity he could. She stared at me. You don't know that for sure. Yes, I do. I put my hand on her camera. Because I've been carrying the same guilt for 15 years, wondering if I could have done something different. if I could have helped. But the truth is, sometimes you can't save everyone. Sometimes all you can do is protect what's left. Chen pulled her camera away from my hand. Her face was red. This is my job, Marcus. Finding answers, solving cases. I can't just walk away. You can, I said. You just don't want to. I understand that. I was the same way once. I had the clearest footage anyone had ever captured, and I thought that meant something. I thought truth mattered more than consequences. But I was wrong. The truth destroyed my life, took my career, took my marriage, made me a joke, and it didn't help anyone. Not me, not those families, not him. We sat there for a long time. The coffee got cold. Outside, traffic moved past the window. Normal people doing normal things, none of them knowing what we'd just seen, what we carried now. Finally, Chen closed her laptop. "Give me your hard drive," she said, "the one with the full video from 2009. I pulled it from my backpack, a small black rectangle that had lived in my closet for 15 years. She took it and set it next to her camera. Then she stood up and walked to the bathroom. I sat there alone, looking at the two pieces of evidence that could prove everything, that could change the world or ruin it. When she came back, she had a lighter in her hand. She picked up her camera and her laptop. "Come on," she said. Outside, behind the diner, there was a dumpster and a patch of gravel. Chen opened her camera and pulled out the memory card. She held it up to the light for a second. All that proof, all those answers. Then she flicked the lighter and held the flame to the card. It caught fast, melting and curling. Black smoke rose up. She dropped it on the gravel and we watched it burn. She did the same with the footage on her laptop. Deleted the files, then deleted them again from the trash, ran a program that wiped them completely. When she was done, she looked at me. "Your turn." I pulled out the hard drive. 15 years of secret keeping. 15 years of what if. I smashed it against the dumpster. Once, twice, 3 times. The casing cracked. The disc inside shattered. I threw the pieces in the trash. But there was one thing I kept. Before we left the diner, I had pulled a single frame from my original footage. Just one image. I had it saved on my phone. That night, when I got back to my apartment, I posted it online. No explanation, just a simple caption. I lied. "I'm sorry. Some things should stay hidden." The image showed the creature's face from 2009. You could see the eyes, the exhaustion, the sadness. But it was blurry enough that people could argue, debate, call it fake. Within an hour, it had 1,000 comments. Fake. Still fake. Nice try again, loser. This proves nothing. I didn't respond to any of them. I just turned off my phone and sat in the dark. Around midnight, I heard something. 3 soft knocks, not on my door, on my window. My apartment was on the 3rd floor. Nothing should be able to reach my window. I stood up slowly. My heart was beating fast. I walked to the window and looked out. Nothing there. Just the night. Just the parking lot below and the distant tree line beyond the edge of town. But when I looked down at my fire escape, I saw them. 3 stones, stacked carefully, one on top of the other, balanced perfectly. They hadn't been there before. I opened the window. The cold air rushed in. I reached out and touched the top stone. It was smooth and cool under my fingers. Real. I looked out at the trees again. The darkness between them seemed thicker, somehow, deeper. And for just a second, I thought I saw something move, a shape too tall to be human, too still to be anything else. Then it was gone, if it was ever there at all. I brought the stones inside and set them on my table. They sit there now, a reminder, a message. I don't know if he followed me home somehow, don't know if it's even possible, but I know what those stones mean, the same thing they meant at Sarah's cabin all those years ago in that other story, the same thing they've always meant. I'm here. Don't be afraid. Some debts can never be repaid, but they can be honored. I honored mine by staying silent, by protecting what needed protecting, by choosing his life over my proof. And somehow in the quiet of my small apartment, with 3 stones on my table and the night pressing against my window, that feels like enough. The world still thinks I'm a liar. That's fine. I've made peace with it because I know the truth, And the truth is that some things matter more than being believed. Some things matter more than being right. Some things just matter.